Today I am at the construction company My Development. This is a company that just recently made a big presentation at the Marriott Hotel to all the agents of our agency and to the Tsurkava network. And after they announced the terms of purchase, there was a rush. The apartments started selling like hotcakes. Every time I come here, I see one of our agents here. So I came here as soon as possible to quickly shoot a review of this project and tell you about the conditions. Sitting next to me right now is Tornik. Tornik is the head of sales for this project, and he helps us a lot. And while we were preparing to record this interview, his phone was ringing off the hook, and I just waited for him to hang up. The main reason for the excitement is the very convenient terms of purchase. So let's start with the trumps. For our viewers, we will tell you about the terms of purchase at once.
Good.
And then we will tell you about the project itself. What are your terms of purchase?
I can tell you right away that the initial payment in this project is only 10%, and then you will realize that the conditions are really unique because every year after that, you pay only 10%. That is, you do not have to pay anything monthly. Only after 1 year, you pay 10% again. After another year, you pay another 10%. And in the end, the amount of installments is 30%. And at the end of construction, when you get the apartment, then you will have to pay 70%. And there is one more bonus. If you want, you can pay this balance of 70% through the mortgage. We will help with the execution of mortgages for both residents and non-residents of Georgia. It does not matter. No income verification. Our partner bank can give you a mortgage, and you already have a ready apartment. And further through, a long-term mortgage already closed the remaining cost.
So it turns out that if an apartment, for example, costs $46,000,
yes,
then today I'll pay $4,600. In a year from now, another $4,600.
Yeah.
And then in another year, I'll pay $4,600 again. So once a year, I'll only pay $4,600. That leaves me with what? About $36,000.
Yeah, that's about right.
I can simply take out a quick mortgage without proof of profitability and break it up. So it turns out that almost anyone can afford it.
Yes, and pay your mortgage yourself. Because if you, for example, will rent this apartment, you will receive the necessary monthly mortgage payment. And so the apartment will pay for itself. Well, most of the payment, because the down payment will be made by you.
So it turns out you'll spend 30% of your money over 3 years.
Yes, yes.
And everything else will already be covered by rent on the balance of the mortgage.
Yes.
Or you could buy it now with that down payment and just start reselling it throughout the year. Because there's going to be a $50 per square meter increase in the price of this project in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's been announced, yeah.
Just do the assignment.
Sure.
So if I spent $4,600 there, but I sold it for $50 more on the assignment, I'll make a couple $1,000s by spending only $4,600.
Sure.
And that way I can have 5 apartments at once.
Sure.
And start reselling them.
The bigger the volume, the bigger the profit, of course.
And the floor discount?
Well, that's something we can discuss on a case-by-case basis.
Fine. Those are the terms. But when the offer is such conditions, of course, few people refuse them. A lot of people who were not even going to buy real estate, including me. I've already booked an apartment here. Then my client bought it from me. Then I took an apartment 1 floor above, and my client bought it from me again. And then I got a 2-bedroom. Even though I don't sell real estate at all, I only do reviews and the real estate is sold by my agency. And still, even I didn't avoid direct sales. South, the question immediately from my buyers: how reliable is your company and in general, what you build?
We have already built a lot, and at the moment, we are also building 3 projects in Tbilisi. This is our first project in Batumi, and a very big plus is that we have a partner bank of Georgia, which guarantees us 100% financing of this project, regardless of sales and other conditions. It's a pooled capital. The financing utilizes our partner's capital and plus insurance from the bank. In order to maintain the pace of construction and get everything done in time.
Even though, as far as I know, you've already poured the foundation?
Sure.
And it cost you over $3 million, right?
Yes.
And it goes 40 meters deep.
47 meters, yes. And in addition, this partnership with the bank gives such an advantage that with large investors, we can give a bank guarantee. If we can't deliver the apartment on time, not to complete the construction, as it is written in the contract, the buyer, without a court, without any delays, can go to the bank and recover 100% of his money, his investment.
Great. Is it because the bank is insuring it?
Yes, the bank insures, because the bank comes as a guarantor.
So the bank is the guarantor? Great. And it's the Bank of Georgia?
Yes, it's Bank of Georgia. Our investors, our buyers, are making a long-term investment. In 3 years, of course, they'll be more expensive. If you look at last year's statistics, every year prices go up. It's just that last year there was such a situation that prices went up not by 10%, but by 30%, and that caused a gap. So here are the prices. Immediately, it was, for example, $700 and began to sell for $1,000 sharply.
And the secondary real estate, which I bought at one time at $500?
Yeah, they've already started reselling. Those projects are already finished, and they've started reselling.
By the way, do you have an assignment clause in the sales contract?
Yes, of course, you can do it. This is one of the clauses of the contract with us, with our company. And I can also answer the question, how will prices rise? Will it be profitable to resell this property or not? We can guarantee that the price increase is already planned. In 2 weeks, it will be already plus $50, and until the end of construction, it will be a minimum of plus $250 for each square meter.
And when making an assignment, I can't. Cheaper to sell than the current price from the company?
Nope.
So it turns out that if I make an assignment, then only on the terms on which the company currently sells.
Yes.
The place itself, the building itself, is surrounded by other buildings, so there is no sea view. It's not a view apartments, right?
Yes. Up to the 25th floor, it is not. There will be a partial sea view, but after the 25th floor, you get panoramic views.
I also really like the feature of your project. It's a multi-level parking lot, like in James Bond movies and Mission Impossible. A parking garage with an automated parking system. It's a very cool solution. And that way you give all the apartment owners the opportunity to have parking spaces. But how accessible will the parking be? Will it be for sale or will it be for rent?
It will not be for sale, or we will sell part of it. But as of today, there is no such decision, because we realize that this parking is not only for our residents. For Batumi in general, it is a very big problem, as most houses have very few parking spaces. You said yourself that there are a lot of buildings around. That is why we want our parking lot to be used by others through rent or subscription service. But it will be mainly for our customers first, of course, and the rest, if there are spaces left, anyone can put their car in the parking lot. Why not?
Great. Do you have the parking lot postponed until after you've completed the building?
No, we'll deliver the building and the parking garage at the same time.
At the same time?
Yes.
So how soon will you finish the project?
At the end of 2027.
There are different projects in Batumi. There are old-fashioned and new projects side by side. There are houses that were one of the first houses to be built after the beginning of active development, and their facade is already want to be looking better because they were not have finishing, and they're all a little shabby now. What about facade finishing?
The facade will be of the highest quality. At the moment, it will be a Luca bond and glass. And if we look at the project from the seaside, this side of the facade will be completely made of glass, because it protects the facade itself. There will be thermal insulation, of course, but since the house is closer to the sea, of course, we need to protect the facade from the salty air, because then we will need to maintain this house to keep an eye on the facade. Therefore, choosing such materials for the facade will help to preserve its appearance and make it easier for us to maintain it in the future.
Is this your first project in Batumi?
Yes, in Batumi it is our first project.
And in what condition will you hand it over?
It will be a white box.
Will the house be gasified?
Yes, it will be gasified. Since it is a mixed-use residential complex, there are no restrictions and we can bring gas into it.
And what about the infrastructure? What kind of infrastructure will it have?
There will be an indoor swimming pool. There will be a spa, a gym, and there will be places for stores, pharmacies, and so on. Of course, there will be a view terrace with a cafe and a restaurant.
What kind of infrastructure will it have? And what about the adjacent territory? Because I recently passed by there, it's a real stone jungle. That is, this area, although it is 300 meters in a straight line from the water, from the sea to get to the sea, you have to go around several buildings. How big is the adjacent territory, and is there room for a playground?
Yes, we still have 3,000 square meters of yard space. Since we have made a separate parking lot, we have a free courtyard. So we will make a recreational area there. There will be greenery. There will be a playground for children. There will be a playground for adults, so that our buyers will have a recreational area. Because we also realize that having such infrastructure is a very strong competitive advantage for our project. Those buildings and projects that are located next to each other, they do not have an adjacent territory as such, only buildings. So we left this comfort for our buyers. Yes.
Super. So it turns out the parking lot frees up the yard.
Yeah, that's about right.
And so you can make a playground and so on. Good, super. Basically, that's a quick little overview. I will bring you up to speed on all the stages of construction of this project. Write in the comments questions that you are still interested in, which we missed and which we have not touched. To purchase real estate in this complex, of course, write to me. Here is my phone number. Write, call. David Tsurkava and Tornike Makaradze were with you. Put likes, subscribe. Good mood, everybody. Bye.